All right. First things first. The bottom center of the screen says that we have beaten 51 games in 2024. There it is. And 41 games since we started. 41. 50. The bottom of the center of the screen says that we have beaten 51 games in 2024 and 498 since we started doing this in 2020. Those numbers are now in need of correction. We've now beaten 52 games in 2024 and 499 since we started doing this way back at the beginning of 2020. Let's go. All right, let's talk about the ups and downs of Hauntii. First off, if I'm given the elevator pitch for this game, the first thing I would ask somebody I was telling this game about is, have you played Super Mario Odyssey? Because that's what this game essentially is. It is a collectathon where you possess things. It's just, instead of being Mario in a colorful 3D world, it's more of a 2D isometric monochromatic world where you are a ghost. Other than that, it's very, very similar. So that's the elevator pitch. And, you know, Super Mario Odyssey is one of the very few current, like, more recent Mario games that I have played all the way through. And I liked it a lot. I liked it quite a bit. It's not exactly my kind of game, so it's not like it ranked in the top 50 or anything, but it's very good for what it is, and, you know, it's got that Mario sheen to it. This is good for some of the same reasons. The best part of this game is the collecting and the exploring and figuring out ways to get, instead of, I don't even remember what it is in Odyssey, but in this game it's stars. You have to get stars. And it's fun. That's the most fun part of the game, is going around getting stars. It's very satisfying to figure out how to... Some of them are puzzle type things. Some of them are combat. Some of them are explorative. Some of them are races, you know, things like that. So there's lots of fun ways that they've come up to get the stars. All that's really good. The story is really cool in this game. Well, let's talk about the art style first, because that kind of goes into it. But this game, like I said, it's very monochromatic. It's very black and white. It's got some other colors in it, but mostly it's a two-color world, two-color 2D kind of a world. And I think it lends itself well to the story. There are some problems where the 2D world goes 3D, and it's very difficult to tell depth, so you'll end up falling off of things or not understanding how to get to something, you know, just the map just doesn't make sense in certain parts because it's doing a 3D thing in a 2D landscape. That was annoying, but largely I think the art style really works, and it's not usually an impediment to get around. A few times it is, but usually it's not that big of a deal. So I think all in all, that is a positive. I think the story is really nice. You know what it actually really gave me is WALL-E vibes. Because you play these characters that don't speak. There's this... your main character you play as, this male presenting character that doesn't speak, is thrown into a world he has no idea what's going on or even who he is. And then you find this female character out of a sudden that you immediately fall in love with, and the whole game is about, you know, or a lot of the game is about finding her, being with her, just for the sake of it. There's no, like, it's not like you want to get to her because she can help you, you know, solve some problem. You just want to be with her. That's all it is. So it's and it's got that kind of touching emotional side to it, like WALL-E does, where you can't help but feel sorry for this poor sap who doesn't understand anything, and he's just trying to get to this girl. So I liked that. And without spoiling anything, just some of the revelations about who the ghost is and where they came from is sweet and sad in some ways, because, you know, we're dealing with a ghost. So this is a person that used to be alive. So, you know, looking into glimpses of what that ghost's life was like before they got to this place can be kind of touching. So I liked that. It's suddenly very loud. So I liked the art style. The story was good. The general gameplay loop of the collectathon stuff, even though that's not really my kind of game, I really did enjoy. I thought it was great. I did not realize that was what this game was when I started it, and I did really enjoy it. Let's talk about the problems. There are a lot. The problems of this game, there aren't a lot of really big overarching ones. There are a lot of really little nagging problems that really bugged me. We talked about one already, and this is more of a larger issue, that sometimes the 2D world tries to do 3D things, and it's very difficult to navigate. So that's a little bit of an issue, but it's kind of baked into the premise, so it'd be hard to fix that. That's not a very easily fixable problem. I think most of the problems with this game are easily fixable. So this game is kind of like Mario Odyssey. It's not really about combat, but it has some combat in it. There are some enemies that you have to kill at certain times, or you have the option of killing, usually is what the case is. And sometimes you have to kill them to collect the stars or whatever, but a lot of times they're just there and you have the option to kill them. And the combat in this game it's passable. You have a projectile weapon that you start with that is okay. It's not great, but really, honestly, it's not. If that were a big problem, that would be like this big overarching problem. It's not really that bad. And it's not the focus of the game anyway, so it's not that important. The problem is with surrounding the combat. It's very specific and very easily fixed. And I don't know why they made the game this way. But you start out with 3 hearts, like Zelda style, and if you get hit, you lose a heart, right? And you have ways that you can upgrade your max health. So I had, I think, 7 at the end of the game, which is a lot. Because, again, combat's not that big a deal in this game. But if you get hit, it can suck, because you can go back to a checkpoint that's maybe a ways back from where you were. Pretty standard video game stuff. The problem is that when you die in this game, when you lose all your hearts, you go back to the checkpoint, they only give you 2 hearts. Now, at the very beginning of the game, that's reasonable, because it gives you 2 out of your 3 hearts. That's 67% of your health. That makes sense, right? That maybe they don't give you full health. Okay, fine. I mean, why not give me full health? But whatever, that's fine. That's not the problem. The problem is that in the beginning of the game, there's not that much that's that dangerous, so 2 hearts is enough. Later in the game, when you have, like me, 7 hearts, or depending on how much you focused on it, you might have 4 or 8, I don't know. When you die, you go back to the checkpoint and they give you 2 hearts. You don't get 8. So, and in the later parts of the game, everything is much, much more dangerous. So I got stuck a bunch of times because I would die, respawn with only 2 hearts, and there would be danger all around me, and there is almost no place that drops health in this game. It is very rare. It actually seems to get more rare as the game goes on, which doesn't make any sense. But even though that basically upgrading the health is worthless in this game, because it's so hard there are a few enemies that drop it, but there aren't that many enemies in this game. There are lots of things that can kill you or damage you that aren't even enemies. So you can't kill them back and get health or anything. And even the enemies that are around that you can kill, most of them don't drop health. There are a few that do. And there are a few environmental things that you can destroy that drop health, but very, very few. So the vast majority of this game, I was walking around with 2 full hearts, if not less, because I've been hit by something, and 5 empty ones. It was completely useless to have that max health upgraded because there was no way to get health most of the time, and which sucks because you go back to a checkpoint, and then you start trying to get back to where you were. There's danger everywhere, and it's really easy to die again and get sent back. It's like, let me explain it this way. Imagine you're playing Dark Souls, and you're in a tough area, And it's, you know, that's what the game is, right? It's supposed to be that way. It's supposed to be tough. You shouldn't get mad just because the game is hard. But every time it brings you back to the bonfire, you have 10% of your health. And you're surrounded by enemies as soon as you spawn in. That would be really fucking frustrating, right? Because you get stuck in this spot where it's really hard just to get out of the main area. And by the way, almost none of the enemies drop health, and there's no way to get health anywhere. And you don't have an Estus flask. You wish. There's no way to heal. You have to find hearts, and they're very hard to find. I hated that. Why won't it just, in a game that's not even that combat heavy, why wouldn't it just let you spawn with full health? The game would be much... I died 68 times in this game. I would have died maybe 10 if it weren't for that. That was the reason that I died almost every time. And you know, I guess there's an argument to be made that maybe that's too easy, but this does not seem like a game that's designed to be a slog. This is not Dark Souls. This is a game that's about exploration. It's about how many times did you die playing Super Mario Odyssey? You know, it's not about that. You know, so I hated that. That if they don't want you to spawn with full health because there's a difficulty balancing issue or whatever, fine. Give me 2/3 of my health like you did at the beginning of the game. Don't just give me 2 hearts no matter what, because you get hit twice and it's over. A full heart is gone if you get hit. And when you do get hearts, they only give you not even a half a heart at a time. They give you 1/3 of a heart at a time. So they are very difficult to come by. Every once in a while you'll find a full heart, but it's pretty rare. I hated that. I hated it, and it drove me fucking nuts. Other complaints. There are some things about the UI of this game that doesn't make any sense. I don't want to go into... It'd be hard to talk about specifics without spoiling anything, but there are certain parts of the map where it's like, it's very clear. It's like, you need to go to this place, and there's a place on the map where that has a road to that place, and you just have to find where the road starts. It's very simple. But then it turns out that's not where you're supposed to go at all. And then they put flags on the map that show like your waypoints or whatever, but the map would be zoomed in enough that you couldn't see the flag. So you would just presume that you're supposed to go this one way. It took me an hour and a half one time to figure out that I needed to zoom the map out. Well, actually, you know what? I'm not even sure the flag was there. There was just some issues with like it appeared later. I don't know. Maybe it was there. Maybe it wasn't. Either way, it's extremely unintuitive. You need to go to this spot. You're in this spot. There is a road connecting them. It turns out the truth is you need to go all the way down here and then come back up. Like, it was just really unintuitive. It didn't make any sense. There were several of those times. At the end, you have to go around and look for things, and the way that it explains how to do it just doesn't make any sense. So the map and some of the navigational stuff was very unintuitive. Bugs. This game had not too many, but a couple of critical ones. There was a bug that would happen that when you died, it would respawn you. If you were in an area where you wouldn't spawn from a checkpoint, like, sometimes if you fell off of things, instead of killing you, it would just take a heart away. So it wouldn't respawn you at a checkpoint, it would just respawn you at where you fell. Sometimes when it would do that, it would respawn you in a place that you weren't supposed to be. And so if you're in a place outside of the map on this game, after about 10 seconds, it will hurt you. And so it would just, if you fell off of the map at a certain point, it would respawn you in a place that you weren't supposed to be, and you couldn't get to where you were supposed to be. So you just had to sit and wait for it to slowly kill you one heart at a time, which usually didn't take that long because I only had 2 hearts. But sometimes it took a while, and it was just dumb. Like, so basically, in those areas, you had to play perfectly. You could not fall off the map at all, or you would eventually die if you did, and there was nothing you could do about it. This happened one time critically during the biggest boss fight of the game. There aren't a lot of boss fights in this game. This is not that kind of a game where it's like really heavy on boss fights. There were a few, and a couple of them were pretty good. There was one really big boss fight that should have been the best boss fight in the game. It was totally a unique idea. It was really fun, except it had that bug in it, and it was almost impossible. Oh, I remember what it was. The only way to hurt the boss was to be in that position where you had to go off of the map. And so when you did that, it would hurt the boss, and then it would respawn you in a place that you couldn't be, and you couldn't get to where you're supposed to be. So it was a bug that would just cause you to die as soon as you hit the boss. I did eventually figure out how to get around it, because if you have enough health, it'll only take off a little bit of it at a time, and you can kill the boss before you die. But that's obviously a huge problem, and it absolutely ruined what should have been maybe the best part of the whole game. So that was a huge issue. There were a couple, that was the big problem for sure. That was the only real issue. There were a couple other little hiccups, some frame drops. There were a couple of frame drops, like in between areas and stuff like that. Not that big of a problem. The big one was that one specific bug, and it kept coming up. It came up several times. So that was a big problem. I guess that's about it. Overall, the takeaway from this game is that it's a great idea, and actually in most cases it's very well executed. I would say overall this is a very good game, but they've got a couple of bugs they need to fix, and they should patch that health problem. Honestly, all they would really have to do to take this from being, in my eyes, a good game and turning it into a great game is fix that problem where you don't respawn with any health. Just give me 2/3 of my health at least, please. And fix that bug, that one bug. If they would do those two things, this game would have gone from a 7, because it was still pretty good, to a 9. I mean, it would have been an excellent game if they had fixed just those two things. So it's really frustrating when I play a game that is well executed and everything is like where it's supposed to be, except for just a couple of little things that could have easily been fixed. Well, I mean, I don't know how easy it is to fix a bug like that, but you know what I mean. It's a very simple problem. It's a very specific issue. It's not like there's some overarching problem baked into this game that makes it not fun. Like that 2D to 3D issue I was talking about before. That's an example of a game that's like, you'd have to rework how the game is designed to fix that. That would be hard to fix, you know? So it's just an inherent flaw of how the game is designed. That's not what these are. These are just little specific problems that you could fix with some code probably, and it would, I mean, again, I don't know how that works, but it would be it's a much more specific, nuanced issue that doesn't affect the overarching issue, like flow of the game. Anyway, overall, I did enjoy it, though. I'd say, you know, I don't give games star ratings, but 7 out of 10 is about what I would say. So this is going to rank probably in the middle somewhere. But I did have some really frustrating moments. Oh, and the final boss area is not fun at all. I didn't like it at all. I thought it was unintuitive and frustrating. Whatever. Again, this game isn't really usually about the combat, and then when it's suddenly all about the danger, it got a little bit annoying. But overall, I did enjoy it. Okay, last order of business. Hauntii. And we got this on Game Pass, so it was free, so it's definitely worth the money. Or, I mean, you know what I mean. Not free, but you know what I mean. Alright, Hauntii, it's been fun, but last order of business, we are now going to delete you from our console and never play you again. Bye, thank you. Much appreciated. Love you.